Hi, it's John, and welcome to the channel. Great to have you along today, 6:03 a.m., Monday, August the 18th, with the big blue mug of coffee. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope you're having a great start to your week. And I don't think it's a stretch to say that in the future, people will look at today as one of the most important days in Canadian political history, because the next Prime Minister of Canada will be elected today, and that would be Pierre Poilievre. The Battle River Crowfoot by-election is today. Poilievre should win easily. This riding, I think, has been held by Conservatives for about 100 years. They generally get at least 80% of the vote. Damien Curic, who stepped down for Poilievre, won 83% back on April 28th. Don't expect that. That's not going to happen, but he should win this one easily today. Now, I want to look at Pierre Poilievre in the past, maybe back to January. We'll look at what's going on right now, and we'll look at where we are moving forward so he can become the next Prime Minister of Canada. So the keyboard warriors on the left, who for some reason hate Pierre Poilievre, will point out that he lost a 20% lead, and that's about right. But I think Poilievre was more a victim of bad timing, more than anything. Okay, and the bad timing comes down to a couple of words, and those words would be Donald Trump. And he was a victim of, I think, of a campaign team that didn't react fast enough when Trump started to say 51st state. The Liberals did. Mark Carney did. They immediately went to the Donald Trump owns us. I've played that clip here many times. The elbows up thing, which we all know about, and then the Canada Strong thing. Meanwhile, Poilievre was talking about the economy with a great message, but his Canada is broken looked weak in comparison to the Canada Strong thing. Meanwhile, when it came to election day, self-righteous Canadians who grasp on to the belief that Canada is superior because we have free health care here, they couldn't remember the last 10 years. They couldn't remember their last overpriced trip to the grocery store or the home down the street with the for sale sign that they can't afford to buy anymore in Liberal Canada. And I think this was one election on April 28th where it's the economy, stupid, didn't win the race. Isn't that fascinating? Because to me, it was about the economy. It was an election where gray-haired people betrayed their grandchildren by voting on faux Canadian patriotism, and they, to this day, continue to prop up Carney's poll numbers. Excuse me. Moving forward, we need Poilievre back in the House of Commons. If you've seen him in question period, I think he's the best there is. He has the support of most of his caucus, but his leadership will come up for review in January, and there are dark forces that will try to see him ousted. And just to give you an idea, Mark Carney today will be meeting with his good friend, Ontario Premier Doug Ford, who was not a friend of Pierre Poilievre in the election campaign. I think he was detrimental to Poilievre. And I think Doug Ford would love to replace Poilievre as Conservative leader, and I think Mark Carney would like to help him do that. As far as Canada right now, how irrelevant are we on the world stage? Well, while Mark Carney is talking to Doug Ford today, Donald Trump will be talking to Vladimir Zelensky about peace in Ukraine. Along for the ride, EU President Ursula von der Leyen, French President Emmanuel Macron, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, and Finnish President Alexander Stubb. Where is Mark Carney? He's talking to Doug Ford. Now, after today's election, and I think he's been this way since he lost the election on April 28th, you're going to see a very humbled Pierre Poilievre. He lost a riding he held for 20 years. And he had to get right back in the spotlight. And it must have been rather humiliating for him. I think the guy has guts. I think it showed true character what he did after he lost on April 28th. And I think he is stronger for this. What should his message be going forward? I think it should be a message of hope. It's always darkest just before dawn. I hate to use that, but it's true. But I think that Pierre Poilievre is the strong man that can create good times for Canada. He needs to continue to point out the problems in this country, and they're not going to go away. Housing, cost of living, crime, immigration, taxes, carbon taxes, EV mandates. It goes on and on and on. I don't think the Liberals can fix these things. And I don't think in a lot of cases they want to, particularly when it comes to immigration. I think there is still a Carney cult right now. The elbows up people are not going away, but I think it's the economy, stupid, will sink in for a lot of people sooner or later. It's going to have to, because it comes down to dollars and cents for most people, and people will want change. As for today's election, to the people who have an irrational hate on for Pierre Poilievre, anything less than 100% today will be considered a loss for him, and that's not going to happen today. I've said here, I don't like when this kind of thing happens. People didn't like that I said I don't think, parachuting Pierre Poilievre into Battle River Crowfoot is the right thing to do. People voted for Damien Keurig, 83% of the people. I don't think this is right. I think it's wrong. I thought it was wrong when Mark Carney ran in Carleton. He doesn't live there, and I've been consistent on that. Okay? There's going to be a lot of people today who will not vote for Pierre Poilievre simply because of that. They may have voted conservative their whole life, but they don't like that, and I understand that. Okay? But I think Pierre Poilievre will win. And if I were in Battle River Crowfoot today, I would be voting for Pierre Poilievre. It wouldn't even be a question. He is a fantastic candidate, and I think he's a good leader. I have mentioned this before on this channel, that I met Pierre Poilievre a few years after he was elected. Guy Lauzon was the MP in my riding. He passed away recently, by the way, and he was elected in the same year as Poilievre for the very first time. And I was interviewing Guy Lauzon in my studio, my radio studio, and Poilievre had come down from Ottawa, and I was introduced to Pierre Poilievre as the future Prime Minister of Canada, and I truly believe that to this day. Today is the next step for one of the biggest comebacks in Canadian political history. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out, but don't listen to the naysayers online. It might not be a resounding 80% of the vote in Battle River Crowfoot, but Pierre Poilievre winning today will be a win for Canada. Pierre Poilievre, the next Prime Minister of Canada. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. I'll see you in the next one.